He's asking me outright, do I think people should be wiped off the map? The demented people today, the people that need mental assistance, who call themselves minor attracted persons. Go to an atheist and ask them, why are minor attracted people wrong for what they believe? I don't know if Smack Dab's an atheist, right? But let's say Smack Dab was an atheist, for example. Imagine if I asked Smack Dab and I said, I know this guy, right? He's like 50 years old. And he's a MAP. He's on the map. And he says he knows he's 50 according to these laws, but these laws also say in the land that he lives in that he can identify as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. He identifies as a 6-year-old, and there's a 6-year-old he wants to marry. So he's planning to actually marry this 6-year-old, and he's looking forward to all the stuff that comes along with marriage. What do you think about that? Now, most of us who are objective, most of us thinking about this with even a little bit of sanity, can imagine and envision how many people, how Smack Dab would react, for this example, obviously. And many other people and many other atheists, right? Think about all the atheists in the world. Many people who hear that will be like, are you crazy? And many more people, and this is how we know. Imagine now if that 6-year-old was many of those atheists' younger sister or a daughter. How do you think they would react? How do you think they would engage hearing that sort of story? That individual who's on the map is looking forward to marrying your younger sister or your younger daughter. How do you think they would react? They would turn around in more cases than not and take that person off the map. I'll just put it like that. But let's just go one step further and think about that for a second though. As an atheist, under atheism, how is that objectively wrong? And the answer to that question is why we are seeing some of the stuff we're seeing today in different parts of the world. Smack Dab mentioned earlier, right? People in certain parts of the world are now free to do certain things because they're not afraid of anything anymore. Imagine in the West specifically, right? We live in a time period today where, as we talked about previously, the atheistic worldview objectively is like shifting sand. There's no objective, firm foundation for anything. And when you live under that sort of society, when you live under that sort of ideology, that framework, that belief system, we talked about this before. This is where objectivity doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It matters as much as you desire it to matter, and doesn't as much as you don't desire it to matter, whenever you like and however you like, right? So we talked earlier about a time period today where it's being so heavily promoted across the board that a man can wake up today and say he feels like he's not a man anymore. He actually feels like a woman. And instead of getting that individual the help that they need, they assist them to go down that pathway. That is the same illogical, unobjective, shape-shifting belief structure that tells you we can say someone who's living isn't actually living, isn't alive. So this is why it was interesting to me when Smack Dab was saying, oh, you know what, we live in a time period now where some people in some places don't have to fear for their life anymore because they can freely do as they please. We're not talking about not being able to freely do as you please. But when you can say life isn't life, right? When you say life isn't actually life, what happens? You find yourself in a situation like we have today, where 50 million, that was the last time I checked, 50 million not lives, not living things, not living people are made not living. How do you end a life that isn't a life? That doesn't make sense. Objectively speaking, that doesn't make sense. But that makes sense under an atheistic worldview, where you can say there's a life in the womb, but it's not really life because we say it's not life. Right? Okay, so look at this, right? I don't know who censored this question, but Smack Dab says, he's asking me outright, do I think people should be wiped off the map? That's in allusion to my example earlier, right? About the people on the map, as I said. Let's say, for example, I said yes to this question. That's not the answer. That's not my answer to this question. And you'll never find me anywhere saying anything like that, right? Why? Because that is not the system I live under. So God makes the rules in my life system, not me. But let's say, for example, just for sake of this question, right? This thought process, that imagine I said yes. Imagine you walk in, you find someone. Imagine Smack Dab's searching around and he finds someone and he's asking this question and someone says yes. So what? Objectively speaking, from an atheist perspective, what would be a problem with that? And that is the problem, again, with atheism. The very big problem. That is, again, the problem with atheism. Because half of the atheists in the world will say, and half of the atheists in the world can say, yeah, they should be wiped off the map. The other half should say no. Now, for anybody who wasn't paying attention or who missed it or didn't realize, I actually answered this question earlier on in the live stream. When I said what? There's some people today who, for one example, are men but wake up and say, oh, you know what, they feel like they're women. And what did I say should happen to those people? Those people should be helped. They should be assisted. What do you do when you have somebody who believes things which are totally irrational? Believes things which we know are objectively false. What do? We help those people come back to the truth. At least, that's what we should do. Now, I'm saying that, and I'm saying that objectively as a Christian. Why? Because the Christian who follows his Bible knows over and over and over again that what? we are to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. So what does that mean? Let's say, for example, I had some very erroneous, some very crazy, illogical, irrational, unobjective beliefs. What would I desire somebody to do for me? I would desire that person to help me. So what would I do in that situation? Help. It may not seem like this for all atheists, but I know this live stream, for example, is not only going to help Christians who watch this live stream live and on the replay, but this live stream is also going to help many atheists in the now and also in the future who think rationally through what I'm saying. Why would I do this? Why would I do this, for example, instead of wiping atheists off the map? Because I love them. Because I want them to be objective. Because when you're objective, it's better for you. And we know this. We don't want shape-shifting police officers. We don't want shape-shifting governments. We don't want shape-shifting people in these situations. And that's the difference. All these things we're talking about today, I can say them and believe them objectively